answer the questions. What do I need before I start? That's a simple one, right? We need paintbrushes. We need the paint.
We need a board.
We need the palette. And we need that claw board.
And your object.
So paintbrushes, paintbrush, palette, P-A-L-L-E-T. Whatever paint you're going to use.
That's you? Look, your foot's in the way. Your foot's there. Oh my.
All right.
Your
So,
object.
and your object, whatever you need, whatever you're going to paint. How do we know we're ready to paint this? What has to be done? Sydney? The sanding. So we got to look at our sample up here. All the edges are done. We're going to pretend all the edges were done on this, and this is beautiful. Okay? And Mr. Barbero said, great job, you're ready for paint. So we put that down, we're ready to paint. I have two different paintbrushes here. I got a very wide paintbrush and a very thin paintbrush. What do we think this one's for? Painting how much? A lot or a little? A lot. This is going to paint a big surface. This is going to paint what kind of stuff? Little detail, right? Nothing to it. Good. So, what do we got there? How many colors do I paint at one time?
One.
It kind of goes to our aim. Okay? How does layering the paint in a particular order help create your project's final outcome? It helps because we're going to paint from the bottom up. Because we don't want to sit there and draw in here with pencil and then paint in and worry about the edges crossing, we paint from the bottom up. So your predominant color, so the answer to that one is 1. Then it says, what is your predominant color? What's your predominant color?
Your main color.
Like the base color, like the other, like the main color.
Yeah.
The main color. So on our question, which is the color you use the most of? It's the color you have most of. For some of you, you might say there's equal colors, then you're just going to pick one. So kind of like yours with the Knicks, you might want to pick one of those 3 colors because a lot of them are shared very equally. So we'll talk about that. But for the most part, like if you look at the tractor, beautiful tractor it is. What are the 3 colors? Green, black, and yellow. Which color was painted the most? What's the predominant color?
Green.
Green. Very simply, I do green first. Then what color do you think I did next? Black. And then I did the yellow. Okay? I never had to worry about my lines because the bottom paint, the green, is always going to be there, then the black, then I paint on top of the black. So I'm never going to run into line problems. All right? So that's that question. How many coats? Does anyone know?
2.
We're going to do 3 actually. Minimum of 3. By the time you do your 3rd coat, you should be totally fine. Some of you, depending on what color you pick, you might actually have to do a 4th color because sometimes this right here, if this is on your surface and you didn't sand it down lightly, it might take a couple of coats to get the paint to cover it. Okay, but it will eventually cover it. Good? Next one is how much? What's the next question? What's the next question on that?
How much paint should I put on my palette?
How much paint on here? The answer is 1/4. Okay? So you're going to put as much as 1/4 would be.
I would know what it
That's it.
How big it would be?
Yeah. So see that? That's all the amount of paint I put in this palette. The nice thing about this is I use it and I'm throwing away the excess. If I fill this up to the top, what happens with all that excess?
You waste it.
Waste it. And let me tell you, you're going to find out how fast we go through paint. We go through fast, people just squirt it all in there, and it's filled up to the top, and then you're washing it down the drain every period. Okay? Put a little bit in, because what could you always do? You could always add more if you need more. And I don't mind if you need more. You're just going to, I don't want you to use it all, not use all of it that's in there. Good? All right. Good. So, painting. Think it's pretty basic, and it is. Just go across in one direction. Make sure you use all the paint. Spread your paint out. If you notice with this paint, I got to go across and use all my paint. What happens? We paint the sides because what happens, whatever side you pull from, you're always getting paint on the side. So we end up making sure there's no excess paint there, and we're going to paint the sides. If you want to not paint your side, you have to paint this very, very carefully. Okay? Hence why almost everyone ends up painting the sides of their project. Because by the time you get the littlest mark right there, because you can see that right there, I got to clean that off or I'm going to have problems. Next thing you know, you're like, well, I'll just make a nice line. Next thing you know, making a bigger line. And then you end up painting the side. Okay? So you just plan on painting your sides. Good? One thing you don't want to do is do ice to cake. Ice to cake means you take a big glob of paint like that, and you go like this. I'm not going to do I don't need coats. I'm going to do it all at once. Don't you worry, okay? And if we look at that, see how it's globbed, right? And you can see the paint going up and down. What's going to happen is when that dries, it'll all crack. None of it will stick to your actual painting. To your project, I mean. And then when you take your project and go like this, it'll all fall off. And now you're stuck with doing it all over again. And unfortunately, if it all doesn't come off, you have to sand it down because then you're going to have a texture on the top of your thing that you don't want. Okay? So make sure if you look at paint that looks like that, you go back over it. And you get it all off. Then you're going to do your sides. After you do that, do your sides. Make sure your paint's all gone. Okay? It's beautiful. And if we look at that, can you see the white coming through on the camera? Can you see the white coming through? See the white? Okay? And an even better example is, this is one I already painted last class and dried. See the white? You can see the brush marks. By doing 3 coats, we eliminate all that. It'll be all one solid color and it'll look really nice. Okay? You don't want to spend all your time sanding the sides and then paint really bad. All right? No one here has to be an artist. The nicest thing about this kind of paint and painting in layers, you really create your own design very nicely. Okay? No one's going to have detailed lines because this paint doesn't allow for it. The thinnest line you're going to possibly get is this right here. Okay? And it's not that thin when you actually start pushing that onto a thing. Good? Any questions?
Well, after you're done with the next layer, like after you're done drawing your first main color, then you go to your next. What kind of next movement?
I don't understand what he's asking. Wait, you're saying, Riley, you understand him?
I know what you're trying to say. He's saying,
Okay.
will the colors mix if you,
No. So, okay, I did this coat, right? This has to dry. I can't paint the second coat until tomorrow. So for a lot of you, this is going to go quick. This is why we're going to start, you can stop this. We're going to start the water